So it's a kind of off late what is happening to build a very strong organization. Emotional intelligence or emotional quotient plays a very key role in organization building, and there are enough number of leaders who talk about emotional intelligence required in the organization. So today's conversation is going to be on that. So you can share your thoughts on how emotional intelligence or emotional quotient in a company will help to improve the organizational culture or performance of the employees who work for the organization.
So, if we really look at what's the struggle in the overall organizational structure is leaders who are unable to emote. And there's going to, perhaps if you really dig deeper, it could be a lot of the way they have been brought up, the way they have been at homes, the way they have managed themselves, which kind of converts into their behavior at workplaces as well. And which is what we see come out in form of workplace cultures not being great. And a lot of it has to go into how people manage themselves and their own self-awareness about it. I'm a Hogan certified assessor, so we do a lot of analysis on how people really look at themselves. And I took Hogan as a certification only 2 years ago, and I felt like, why did I not do this 20 years ago when I started my career? Because there is a lot of self-awareness aspects that comes into picture. Now, unless and until we don't do that for leaders at workplaces today, they would not be self-aware. And if they are not self-aware, they may be at the risk of demonstrating themselves into being leaders who are not knowing what they are saying, the way they should be saying, the way they are trying to get the work done. And one thing that we over and over again have realized in corporates is you get into the corporate with mastery over skills that you have learned in your academics. So you're hired for your technical skills. But as you grow, it's the management and the leadership that allows you to grow. But there is no formal training that you get through in an organization to become a first-time manager or a first-time leader or leader of leaders for that matter. And that proves very costly to a lot of organizations where it's again lack of emotional awareness or intelligence that then perhaps creates a situation where they don't know how to manage these people, how to manage expectations. And that's more and more what we keep seeing at the end of the day in workplaces. So if I were to kind of sum it up, lack of empathy and lack of emotional intelligence goes hand in hand because people are not, one, taught and aren't exposed to how to work with the team members. What does stress mean? I mean, how much are we even talking about stress? What does, another problem with men is that we are told not to express pain. And all of that adds up and creates a lot more disbalance in the working, is what my views would be.
Sure. Thanks, Gopal. So what I can relate to, for example, after working for 28 years in different companies and different organizations, I think all of us can relate to it that we work for different leaders, right? At many times, we also feel that when we are working under a particular leader, there is a different, ecosystem, there is a different comfort level. So the key differentiator there is the emotional intelligence of the person, how the leader is making us feel, how that person is managing the entire situation, be it a conflict within the team, be it a difficult discussion with any particular stakeholder. So all those things come from definitely their emotional intelligence. And I think the most, what I can say to you from my own experience, that the most critical part is that how much we listen to our team, right?
Very true.
Because it can happen, like you said, even what we are in the office in 9 hours, that's a lot of reflection what we are in our home. Because we generally say, okay, don't take your office to the home, don't bring your home to the office. But as a human being, we can't differentiate, right? So for example, let's say a team member of ours is going through a relationship issue. That person may be going through a separation issue. Those things are very common, right? Yeah. So as a leader, it is very important to give listening to our team member, because at that point of time, he or she just needs a person who can listen to him or her.
Yeah.
that, okay, I'm gone through this. I know you cannot solve it, but I need someone to listen to me.
True.
But if I'm a boss, oh, sorry, it's a personal issue. Why should I listen to you? That's none of my business. It's you. It's
You
your
have to deal with
relationship.
it.
So
Yeah,
you please
that's not
solve
how
it.
it works. Yeah.
But if you listen to that person, that also gives a lot of comfort level with your team member. And I think these are real situations which happen with all of us.
Yeah.
So that is one part of it. And second, I think it is very important if we want to become a emotionally intelligent, strong leader, we need to have a 360-degree feedback. For example, when I do the performance appraisal with my team, I also ask them, what should I improve? What are the things which I should improve as your leader, as your boss? So that is something, which is also very, very important. And that will help us to create an ecosystem. And as I say, like everyone leadership style is going to be different, right?
Yeah.
Some people want to just give commands. Some are just task oriented. Okay, these are the tasks you have to do it. That's your job. If you need any help, let me know. But some of the person who work with you, who stand with you, and who help you also grow.
Yeah.
So that is something, which is very, very important. And that's why we always say that people don't leave the company, they leave the managers whom they work for. So you may go from a very big company to a very startup company because you was not comfortable there. But here you are getting a breathing space. For example, I can give you my own example without taking the name of the company. My last company where I was working, that's world's #1 BPO company. I was a head HR there, managing 4 sites, 6,000 employees. But I was working under a boss who was work alcoholic. We used to work 13 to 14 hours a day.
Oh.
And his kids were grown up. My kids were very small. Like I had just started my family and I have not reached my home before midnight. So that's what the kind of life I was, because my boss was not emotionally, he did not have that EQ that, okay, my subordinate also has some personal life. But like, I can give you a small example. Like I never played with my kids when I was in Delhi, not even once. I never even think of, right? But when I came here, I came to a smaller company, but then I had the freedom to do the things. I was able to contribute better, and I was able to have a work-life balance. So I think these are the things I would like to share. Maybe, Nalin, you can share your thoughts.
I think, and thanks for having me here. And my experience has been about 25 years in the industry, and this one really touched me about 21 years back. And I was in Delhi, and then one of the largest, ITES companies there. And we were hiring for a lot of fresh graduates for some transaction processing work. And I interviewed a lot of people, and one guy I found a big spark. He was a street hawker's son. Wow. First graduate in the family. And very courageous. His answers was fantastic. He had done all the homework, prepared to talk well, communicate well. Coming from, let's say, Hindi medium background, he had, done a lot of work on improving his English and all this. So a lot of courage and promise I saw in the guy. After 1 month of joining, and I was probably a senior manager at that point in time, and then he was part of my team, few levels junior, and he started coming late to office, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. Then I called him into office and said, what's going on? And then he said, I miss my bus, and regularly I'm getting up late and all that. Now, the difference between intelligence and emotions is that what I see is emotions run very, very deep. Intelligence is quite, superficial.
Correct.
Now, when I probed him, I said, no, this cannot happen. Every day you miss you. You have been a very, studious guy, and you've shown courage to come out of shackles within your family ecosystem and rise up into life to take challenge. So 3 times, 4 times probing, I went out, had lunch, dinner. Then he said that my mother is a homemaker. And she had fractured leg, and she used to prepare, breakfast and lunch for my father and my younger brother every day. Now she can't do that kitchen work, so I have to do that in the morning, which consumes another half an hour. That's the reason I come late. That really sparked me that, okay, I mean, emotions for, taking care of his family. When his mother is fractured for 21 days, is what is driving it. But the reasons were not coming out. And if you probe it once, twice, thrice, if you probe him 5 times, 6 times, go really deep into the person, you will really unearth. So that's why I'm saying emotions are so deep with people.
Sure.
Sometimes, and because, he wants to prove in life, he's seen a lot of pain, family-wise, situation-wise. I think we need to have open dialogues, with these kind of people. The true reason is something else, but what we perceive, so that's what's the learning I had that, and, also the challenge with organization is hierarchies create fear.
Very true.
Hierarchies create fear. And I learned it hard way. So I thought that, then we started open door policy and all that, so people, so that they have free to express emotion. And now contrast this with the recent hire, and again a fresh graduate, and he is from one of the IMC graduated, and we hired him 1.5 years back. And then his lifestyle is very different. He comes from a very cared background. All of us now take care of our kids like we were groomed very, very rugged with our parents, grandparents, and all that. Tough of times, go play in the sun, all that happened. But the new generation kids, which is Gen Z, millennials, the grooming is very, very, cuddled, taken care of everything in life. Now, these guys, we start office, let's say at 10 a.m. and we go till 7:30, 8:39, normal days, Monday to Friday. And this guy comes, okay, 6:30 is time for home. No, I want to enjoy my family time. So I need to unlearn what the rugged ways of doing work was into a more newer dynamics of how the young generation is wanting. They are bothered not about long hours, but their personal time. So the emotional intelligence and how do we get things done from this kind of a newer generation is also important to learn and adapt. So these are some two of the contrasting experiences within 25 years span, how things are changing.
Yeah.
So how emotional the intelligence is also evolving with different generations as they come into the workflow is an important aspect on a longer period of time. So that's my thoughts.
So we have been discussing about how emotional intelligence is required for a leader in a corporate and how that helps to build a very strong team and a high performing team in the business.
I come in from a very different background. I've been heading hospitals and I've been in the field of healthcare for the last almost a decade and a half. My experiences have been, I have learned more on the EQ than the other way around where I've seen others. So it's been a very take it by the scruff of the neck and pull me right down into the waters, muddy the waters. And that's how I've learned. A lot of points which I'd like to sort of, when I look back at my last decade and a half, some things that stand out for me, for my field, we have a very unique sort of sector where the employee base is akin to every other employee base, whether you're an IT company or a manufacturing company. We've got nurses, we've got technicians, we've got front office staff. That set of folks are pretty much the same everywhere. But we've got a unique set of folks who I don't think is there in any other sector in India, which are the doctors.
Correct.
Doctors are not employees. Doctors are consultants. And so they don't subscribe or prescribe to the organizational ethos, the values, the regulations, the policies. By definition, they don't, because they are consultants. And it's very difficult or rather impossible for you to expect the doctors to agree, subscribe, follow all that. So you're always in this dichotomy where you're trying to pursue and implement an organizational ethos when the most important segment of your business is not going to be part of that. I have always been very clear in my leadership journey that and as it might sound a little crude, but for me, my most important base of folks that I look after is not the patients but the doctors. The doctors end up looking after the patients. So if I keep the doctors in check, in good stead, patient experience goes off well.
Correct.